Welcome to Revelations, the place where we speak truth to power. I'm Cole Johnson. I'm so glad you're able to join us. How can I describe my next guest? Okay. Being a car salesman is his 9 to 5. However, his voice carries a powerful punch. His mixture of humor, cautionary tales, and uncle-like wisdom makes a must-watch all throughout social media. Ladies and gentlemen, the founder and moderator and producer of the Knucklehead Chronicles podcast and the co-executive producer of WLEO 26.7 Radio, the loquacious Terry Little.
I don't talk about them things.
And this is his revelation. So how you doing, man?
Well, you know, what's going on? First of all, let me say this right here before we get into it. Thank you for the intro. The intro was dope. All right.
Thank you.
And I'm glad you picked a picture that didn't have a book in it. That would have been amazing. That's the first thing. All right. But
Oh man,
that one's close. That one's real close. That was a bad day that day too. So I remember that picture. But thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it, man. I am good. Life is good, man. Dealing with, my son, autism, and dealing with that on a daily basis, and it's life.
yeah.
Dealing with death. I know I've had about 4 people that passed away in the last 2 weeks that I knew, and so it's tough out here. But yeah, I'm good. You?
Man, I cannot complain, dude. I seriously, I mean, yeah, of course, life throws you curveballs. That's obvious,
definitely.
but things are great, man. I all things literally considered, I cannot complain one single iota.
Me either.
And one of the reasons why is actually you. I mean, I get a chance to chop it up with a friend of mine, and it's been a minute, and I'm so glad that you actually decided to come this way.
For sure, man.
'Cause it's been a minute.
I'm here all day. For you.
I love it, brother. All right. So, how we like to roll here is, I know you, but maybe somebody out there doesn't. So, in conversations, we like to do what is called open the way, shall we? Now, the reason why this is open the way, conversation starts when vulnerability enters this room. So your roots begin, sir, in I'm sorry, go ahead, sir.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
I was gonna say, so your roots begin in North Carolina. I almost want to go PD Pablo and go, North Carolina.
Take your shirt off. That's what he said.
Spinning like a helicopter. No, I'm not gonna do that. So your roots begin there. How were your formative years?
My formative years, man, were I can't complain about those. Even though there were some things that happened in my formative years that shaped me into the man that I am today. If anybody listened to my podcast, I have a series called The Origin, where I actually tell my story. My formative years didn't really get bad until like I was 16 or 17, and my mother told me that the man that raised me wasn't my father. That was devastating all in itself. So of course, and just a really quick story, Cole, if I can. I mean,
please, man, please.
How that came about, you guys, is I had a crush on this young lady because I'm from a very small town, right? A very small town, and so everybody knows everybody. And so I had this crush on this young lady, and I came home to my mom and said, "Mom," I said, "Ooh, I met this girl. She is the bomb." You know what I'm saying? And she was like, "Oh, that's sweet, honey. Well, what's her name?" I told her name. And she was like, "Oh, yeah, you can't date her." I'm like, "What you mean?" Wait a minute now. I love you, but what I do is my business. I'm grown. You know what I'm saying? I won't grow, but still. And she was like, "No, no, you can't be with her. And so it took about 2 weeks for me to drag it out of her. Why I couldn't date this young lady. And then she finally told me. She was like, well, sit on, I never will forget. I was 16 and a half, almost 17. I sat on the end of her bed and she said, baby, the reason why I told you that you can't date this young lady is because she's your half sister.
Oh man.
And I'm like, what you mean half sister? I don't know. Aiden Walter, my father. What you talking about? He ain't got no kids other than my brother. What you talking about? And she was like, well, no, and then she goes into he's not your father, and um, he stepped up to be your father, but he's not your bio dad. And so
Right.
I said, well, mom, who is he? And so she gave me a name, and it was a whole story after that. And I got to see him in the grocery store 2 weeks later. It wasn't pretty. Um, so yeah, but after that,
Mm-hmm.
I was mad at my mom for many, many moons. So everything that I did after that was in rebellion to my mother.
Wow.
So yeah, that was
Now
rough,
that
man.
now that I did not know, because I know how special your mother is to you, and we
Yeah,
will definitely talk about her later on.
yeah. Don't get
But
me too
that,
technical.
yeah, that I did not know.
Yeah,
Wow. Okay. All
yeah.
right. So, yeah. All right. How were you as a child? I think I can answer this question, but I ask it anyway. Let's see. Were you curious, mischievous, studious, shy, a class clown, all of the above, none of the above? What?
Before the incident, before 16, I was a clown. I just
Mhm.
like to have fun and joke and play and things like that. But once the incident happened, I was
Mhm.
into my junior year of high school. I became a father.
Right.
So I had a baby young, and
Hmm.
I was just doing whatever. I had this mentality of I wouldn't say that I hated women, but
Right.
I hated uh, the mother figures. People that wanted to be my teachers. I really couldn't stand my teachers because of my mom. You know,
Hmm.
so it's in two stages. So in the beginning, I was it was fun, outgoing, clowning. I was a class clown. I would have been class clown of high school had I not had to run in with my mom. But after that, life changed. Life changed, and became like I said, became a father. Um, I started making some really bad decisions. Never got in any trouble legally, but morally got into some stuff after that.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. Well, heck, all of us, all of us have to learn one way or the other.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so you were North Carolinian. I lived in the state for almost 2 years.
Yeah.
And so I understand the deal when I ask this question. So I got to ask it of you.
Okay,
And this is an important one for a North Carolinian.
absolutely.
Duke or North Carolina, and why?
Quit playing with me, and you already know me. So, so for me, and I answer because I'm on your show. I won't get too rowdy on your show, but it's Duke all day for me. And I can't tell you why. It was it was I was in maybe the seventh grade, maybe,
Hmm.
and I saw Bobby Hurley play for the first time.
Okay.
You know, and I was just intrigued. And I saw Cameron Indoor Stadium, and I was like, "Oh my god, I want to go there!" And then the darker shade of blue, as you can see that I'm wearing today.
Right.
Uh, I've always been a fan of the darker shades. Uh, Team light skin, I can't do it. I can't, I can't rock it, bro. Like I can't, I can't. I like Steph Curry, but he's from North Carolina too.
Right.
Um, but
Team.
yeah, but I can't tell you why. It's always been Duke. I can't tell you why.
Mhm.
Um, but I just been a fan. I've been a fan since I was a little bitty boy.
Okay.
And I remember back in 2018, I went home
Hmm.
and it was on um, Thanksgiving break or whatever.
Yeah.
And I got to go inside of Cameron Indoor Stadium. When I tell
Oh,
you, it was my
nice.
Graceland, bro.
Nice.
And that was the summer before Zion got there.
Right.
Man, I got to shoot hoops on Coach K's court. Man, it was crazy. It was crazy. But yeah, it's Duke. Sorry, I didn't mean to go long winded on you, Duke.
No, 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 no,
Yeah.
no. You can go as long as you want. Well, okay. If you can't explain why Duke, then why not North Carolina?
It's that shade of blue, man. I It's like it's like you had a freeze pop, like a light blue freeze pop, and then you threw it up, and that's the color. That's what it would look like. I can't. Yeah, I just can't. I've never been a fan.
Oh my gosh.
Jordan was the only good reason why I like Carolina a little bit, but
Mhm.
I didn't like Dean Smith. Um, I don't know why.
Mm.
Don't ask me. It was just it's kind of like people who live in Florida. You either a Florida Gator fan or you're a
Or
Hurricane fan. You
hurricane.
can't be anything in between. And it's like they can't tell you why either. It is just kind of like it's a birthright. You
Yeah.
come out of the womb hating Miami. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what it was for me. I came out of the womb hating Carolina. That's what it was.
Okay. Man, no problem with that. Okay. All right. So, as a youngster, how important was family to you?
It was very important. I remember we used to have get-togethers at my grandma's on the weekends. All my cousins would come over, and we would just and my grandma had a house with no indoor plumbing, so she had an
Oh,
outhouse, and so
wow.
they would all gather over there every single Saturday, and we would stay there
Hmm.
all Saturday long. They would play spades and pity pat, and we have a good time. It's spent all day. Um, once my mom got sick, even though my grandma is the matriarch, my mother ran it. My mother ran things,
Gotcha.
and so once my mom passed away in '07, um, the family went kaput. After she passed away, even though grandma's still around, but once mom passed away, that was kind of it. Family's still important. I still keep in touch with a few of my cousins that I used to roll with, but after mom passed away, I got an uncle in prison. I got an uncle who's got stage 4 renal failure. I mean, he's you know try to keep in contact with him. Got a couple of auntie. Well, got an 8 auntie that's still around.
Hmm.
So just family's always been family, but I realize that family will always, not always, but family will be the first ones to stick you if you're in a bind. You know what I mean? I love them. They know I love them, but I won't ask them for anything.
Well,
Yeah,
I can understand that. I totally understand that. Well, sir, you definitely have sufficiently opened the way
yeah,
in this conversation, and I
absolutely.
appreciate it. Podcaster and co-executive producer of WLEO,
Mhm.
Terry Little, joins me on Revelations. He's just opened the way for us here, and now it is time that we walk across that bridge into prosperity. Now, here at Bridge to Prosperity, we link childhood lessons to adult application. Now, you have honestly talked about fatherhood in so many different platforms. You said on this show that you first became a father at 17. How did you handle it at first?
like any other man would at 17. Um, I went through when I tell you, it's I went through the normal circumstance. When you get that phone call from your
Oh,
girlfriend and she says, "I'm late." I'm like, "Oh,
oh.
okay. Late for what?" What you late for? What you talking about? You know what I'm saying?
What?
Because here's the thing. Here's the dynamic to that is that I was never taught the birds and the bees. My mother never sat down with me and said, "This is what's what," right? So I was winging it. And so when I first had my first sexual experience, I had no idea what I was doing. I, I know I had a penis. I knew that.
Right.
I knew that when I did certain things, certain stuff come out. I knew that, but I didn't
Mhm.
know the premise. So that's not an excuse. That's just what it was, right?
Mm.
Um, so when I got that phone call from my then girlfriend, who I love very much at the time,
Mhm.
she says, "I'm pregnant." But my first thing is what every man will say: "It ain't mine."
You did
Who you
not
think?
go shaggy and say it wasn't me.
It wasn't me. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't me. I'm like, "It ain't mine." So that whole situation was one of the pillars of my life and made me the man that I am because I went
Mhm.
through so much
Yeah.
with my baby's mother
Mhm.
um, at such a young age, and I'm still in high school. I hadn't even graduated high school yet,
Right.
and she had a baby, got pregnant. She had Tanika, my oldest girl,
Mhm.
and it was just a traumatic. I know about the child support system and how early they can put you on that bad boy. They don't care. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
And I paid child support for years. After.
Mhm.
But the mental toll that it took on me, because my baby mama would be on me. Why? What you doing that for? You need to go to work.
Oh,
Pay
man.
child support. Da, 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 da. I went through a whole thing, and for years she controlled everything I did with my daughter. You can't take her.
Ow.
You got to bring her back here this time. Da, 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 da. And I mean, it was so much stuff,
Oh, man.
and that mental toll took a lot. But it made me. Eventually, it made me the man of who I am. But my daughter and I had a strained relationship. You know,
Mm. Mm.
because I was that absent father. I was not there for them.
Mhm.
I did an episode on the Knucklehead Chronicles with my daughters, Tanika and Brianna, my two daughters, and that was heavy because the title of it was "Daddy, Where Were You?" And it was tough. It was tough, man. It was tough, and I'm still trying to make amends, but we are in a better place now.
Man, no, you, sir, a credit to you
Yeah,
to face that and to look at your two adult daughters and basically be an open, vulnerable vessel, saying, "Look, just tell me in the ways that I won't say failed, but tell me in the ways where I wasn't present for you,
right. That was
and
hard.
you were willing to receive it from them without being defensive.
Yeah,
That is an credit. That's a
yeah,
credit to you.
that was a hard episode, bro. I
That
ain't even gonna lie. That was a hard one, but
I
you
would
know,
think that had to be
and
the hardest, man, that you've ever done.
yeah, that was it. It was by far and away. I mean, and you said failed, not the word you want to use, but failed is exactly what I did, and that was one of the words that I used in my episode was I failed. I failed them, and this is my daughter, my oldest girl, went through so
Uh-huh.
much stuff because daddy wasn't there. You know, my dad don't love. It was the whole Will Smith and female version.
Ooh,
You know what I'm saying?
yes.
And she
Mm.
made a lot of decisions in her life after that came because of my absence. That was hard. To hear that from my daughter, that was hard. That was hard. But it was the truth. And I had to sit there and I had to take it. That old saying people say, this is your bed, you gotta lie in it.
Yeah.
That's a true statement. That's the truest statement anyone can ever say. Because it's true. If you do it, it's true.
Oh man. Mm. Yeah. I can understand that. And yes, n- wasn't a teenage father, but I definitely heard that.
Yeah,
Definitely heard that
yeah.
that saying. Yeah, like you made your bed, you gotta lie in it, and
Lie in
making
that.
mistakes that I've made that I'm thinking, okay, something or someone else will bail me out of it. But
Yeah,
you learn that hard lesson. Nope, no one's gonna bail you out of this. This is something
absolutely
that
not.
you got to live with it and deal with the regret of it all and grow
Exactly.
from it.
Get on up in there and cuddle up with a good book.
Yeah.
Get in your bed at night. Yeah, you go. You want some warm milk with that? Yeah. So, get up in there.
Oh Lord. So what other lessons did you learn in early adulthood that you take with you today?
Oh man, um, I've learned so much. I've learned that one of the things I learned it, but didn't put it to my life until later. But I learned this: you cannot make decisions out of emotion only. Cannot do it. And I made so many bad moves as a youngin because I was mad at somebody, or like I was telling you at the top of the show. I made a lot of decisions because I was mad at my mom. Emotion,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Going out here having sex, not knowing what I'm doing. That was in rebellion, right? I've been married 3 times. So I got married at 19. I turned around, and then after I left the first wife, I ended up with a lady who was 26 years my senior. I want y'all to catch that in the third heaven out there. Whoever listening, you took wherever y'all at. 26 years my senior. Now you gotta let's put some math on it. I'm 47 now. Add it. So I was dating somebody. By the time I was dating her, I was 21. I was dating
Mhm.
her. Uh,
Mhm.
stop making moves on emotion. Right.
Mhm.
Think before you speak. I mean, it's amazing how simple those things that you used to hear them coming up, and you're like, whatever. Your mom tell you, think before you speak, and don't do that simple stuff. But it was so major. It was so major because as I, as I came into manhood, now I want to be clear here. I'm 47 years old, Cole.
Hmm.
I became a man at 35. Let's be real. I'm gonna be all the way with you. I became a man at 35.
Right.
I've been a male all of my life,
Oh yeah.
but I became a man at 35. All because of everything that I've learned and what I've done and dealt with and hurt people and all that.
Oh yeah. I totally understand that. Yeah, we're here on that one for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh man. Okay. So, how long did it take for you to forgive? Since you just mentioned that you have been married thrice, I know you're currently married now,
Yeah.
but anyway, we'll talk about that love of your life a little later.
Yeah.
But how long did it take for you to lick the wounds of your first two exes?
Huh. That's a loaded question, Nicole. I'm glad you asked it. Wow. Yeah, you do have a knack for this. Okay. My first marriage at 19. It didn't last. It only lasted. We stayed together, physically together, for a year.
Mhm.
And it was one of those things you kind of chalk it up to being young and dumb, right? My first marriage.
Mhm.
And it was a love hate thing. We ended up hating each other so much to where it didn't even bother me to be away from her. Now my second marriage, on the other hand, that was different, because after her, it took me a long time to lick the wounds. The licking of the wounds, if I could be honest, the
Mhm.
licking of the wounds happened all the way into my third marriage.
Mm,
Catch
mm,
it.
mm,
Okay.
mm,
And
mm,
so I was still,
mm.
having these conversations I shouldn't have been having, things of this nature. And so it took me a minute, but um, it took me a while. Ooh, God, years, if I could be honest with you. I married my second wife in 2003. We separated in 2014. Um, we separated in 2013, actually, but 2014, I was still having, like, I don't moved out here. I don't moved to Idaho with Melissa, and I know, and we still haven't done it. So yeah, it was years, many, many moons, bro. I would say at
Ah,
least 6.
I can understand that, and I totally understand how you can carry baggage from one relationship
Yeah,
into another,
yeah.
and then get into a situation where you're seeing
Mhm.
that it might be going down the same road as the relationship before, and you just basically go into autopilot.
Yep, absolutely. That's a good way to put it. Yeah, that's a good way to describe that. Autopilot.
Mhm.
That's a good one.
So
Yeah.
I totally understand that because yeah, I quick story for me. I was driving one of my driving my ex girlfriend to drop her off at the airport, and we were just doing our relationship, and we got into an argument, and the argument was really similar to my ex wife's,
Mhm.
and it took me about 2 minutes to realize, wait a minute, I'm dealing with a different woman,
Yeah.
and I actually grimaced, and I apologized as soon as I caught myself to her,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that was when I realized, man, I think this relationship is doomed to fail because of me, because I'm
Right.
carrying this baggage into this relationship, and this woman doesn't deserve it.
Right. It happens.
Yeah, it does happen.
Yeah. That's
All
why
right.
that's one of the things I always try to tell people. You have to close the door. You know, that a lot of times when you leave that
Yes.
crack in the door, that only allows the enemy to come back in and destroy what you're working with. So you have to slam. Sometimes, see, my door, I had to close it, slam it, nail it shut. No, no, I had to, because it was that enemy, that booger was on my neck, like,
Mm,
and he was destined to destroy what I have now,
yeah.
and all the blessings that God has bestowed upon me, my third wife.
Right.
I would have never received those had I not slammed and nailed that door shut.
Right. Yeah. Totally understand that. Okay. I don't know how I can ask this question, but I'm gonna ask you
Just ask.
anyway.
Yeah,
Idaho?
I don't.
Idaho? Okay.
Yeah.
How and how when did you make it to and why Idaho?
Okay. I love telling this story. This is a fun story. Okay. So me and Melissa, we were dating.
Mhm,
Um, I first met Melissa in 2011
mhm,
and at Walmart, but she was in a certain place in her life, um, to where she did her thing. She was partying and things of that nature, just, you know, and she would never date me. I asked her out, she wouldn't date me. Now,
Smart
my
woman.
situation was I was living with my second wife, estranged. We was in the same house, but we wasn't having that kind of relationship. So I was working two jobs, whatever. But Melissa would never ever date me. I said, okay. So one day in 2016, I get a message from her via Facebook inbox. So she messages me and she's like, "What? Are you single?" I'm like, "Yeah, I just broke up with a girlfriend. I was sleeping on the couch." Da, 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 da. Very tumultuous, right?
Mhm.
And she messaged me, and so we started dating. Kind of talking via Facebook Messenger. And she was like, "Okay, well, I'm coming to see you. This is in March. This is in February 2016. It was Zariah's birthday, and so she comes down to North Carolina. Now she's in Chicago. I'm in North Carolina. She drives down to North Carolina. We spend the weekend together. It was over at that point in 2016.
Mm,
So she goes back to Illinois.
okay.
I go back up to see her in May because it was her birthday in May of 2016.
Right.
Now she had joined this multi-level marketing business called Lavelle, and she met a wonderful young lady named was Tiffany Dixon, um, and they became really close. They went to a conference in Dallas, Texas. They met for the first time in Dallas, Texas, and it was like, "Hey, you guys should really come to Idaho and be together," because we were dating long distance. We had plans of getting together and moving to North Carolina, her and the kids, but it didn't pan out, right? So her
Right.
friend was like, "Hey, you guys come to Idaho. We'll take care of you. We'll give you a place to stay. We'll give you a job." And they did every single thing they said. And so she brung it to me and she says, "Babe, let's move to Idaho." And I'm like, "What?" The only thing I know about Idaho is potatoes. You know what I'm saying? But so my first question was, first of all, excuse my French here. The first thing I said was, "Where the hell is Idaho?" First question. Second question was, um, second question was, how many black folk in Idaho? Now, uh, the young lady Tiffany, her husband was black.
Okay. So at least one.
He was California black. It's different, two different black.
I feel you. I feel you.
No, I'm kidding. Hey Don, you listen? I'm sorry. No, it was he was black, and there were a few black folk in Idaho. A couple of refugees from Somalia were there,
Okay.
were in the city that we lived.
Right.
And so, I said, we can't go wrong. I want to be with you. I'm tired of this long distance, And so we did. We loaded up the van, and drove to Idaho. And I started working in the casino down in Jackpot, Nevada, and we started making our life together.
Mm, mm, mm.
Idaho's great. It really is. I, I I remember we lived there for 5 years, and
Mhm.
when we first got there, life was so uncertain. We didn't know nothing. We were boyfriend and girlfriend, bro. I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything about her. She didn't know anything about me, really. You know what I'm saying?
Oh wow.
Only to she only saw what I presented.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? Um, and so yeah, lived there for 5 years, and we left there last January. And before we left Idaho, I did a video, and they say the title was "Goodbye Idaho."
mhm.
And I said one of the lines that I said, I had like 100 people in that live, and I said, I came to Idaho with my girlfriend and her 2 kids, but I'm leaving here with a family.
Nice.
And I tell you what, there wasn't a dry eye in the place. You know what I'm saying? On the line, so it was crazy. But yeah, Idaho was a good experience. It really was.
Good. Good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
I am. I am.
No,
Well,
don't go to Coeur d'Alene though. Don't go up there. If you're black, don't go to Coeur d'Alene. Nope. That's what them Proud Boys reside. Don't go up there. I'm just saying, this game. Charge to the guy. Hey, that's free game for you. Don't go to Coeur d'Alene if you black.
only Terry. Well, you definitely walked across that bridge. We're on the other side of it. I appreciate this,
Yeah, man.
man. podcaster, good storyteller, as you can see, co-executive of WLEO. I told you, the verbose Terry Little
What's
joining
up?
me on Revelations.
What's up, man? I can't tell a good story. Somebody did something. They said, "Terry, you tell it so." It's like the woman on the that woman on the Forrest Gump movie. She's like, "I think it's an excellent story, and you tell it so well." That's that. I get that all the time. I get that a lot.
Well, you're probably going to be hearing some more stories because we're now going to walk behind the purpose of this man. So we're going to climb behind the purpose of one Terry Little. Now, behind the purpose, it's the reason why we function the way we do. So I'm just going to come right out and say it. Who was smoking when they nicknamed you the Guru?
I got that nickname. I used to do a podcast, me and E Digger. We this is how we met long before that, but we did a podcast called Shout out to E Digger.
Shout out to E Digger, yeah.
We did a podcast together called Brunchin' with a young lady named Lise Winnie out of they're out of Baltimore. And Ashley the cannabis nurse. So it was us four. And she named me that. I did a guest spot, one weekend. And yeah, and she gave me that. I'm like, I'm not sure. I think she asked me something, and I gave her a bunch of wisdom and dropped some nuggets or whatever. And ever since and that name just kind of stuck, with the Guru.
Oh my! How funny! How funny! The cannabis nurse named you the Guru. Beautiful.
No, Lise did.
Oh, Lise did. Oh, okay, yeah. Okay. I was about to say.
No, Ashley was just getting into social media, but when we started doing Brunchin', and we interviewed some great guests on that show.
Yeah,
we interviewed what's my guy from Nokia? We interviewed him.
Yeah, Drew Hill fame. Yeah,
we interviewed Head Crack from. We just had a bunch of good guests. We had a bunch of guests on that show. Love that show.
Yeah.
But Lise decided to end it. To replace me and E Digger, which is fine. I mean, I'm not mad at her about it. A little bit sometimes.
As you can tell, Terry does not hold grudges.
Shout out to Lise. I'm still mad at you though. Just so you know. But yeah, it was a great show. But she gave me that name back in 2019, 2020, and it's just stuck.
The Guru. Okay.
Yeah.
I just had to ask.
It's the DA.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The DA capital GURU. Yeah.
You know it. You know it.
Yeah.
It's like, what did Riley say on the Boondocks? White people. I know about them. When they talk, they say the whole word. Like this. Yeah. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Can't take you nowhere.
Nowhere, bro.
Now in the last segment you mentioned your wife. You go absolutely hard for her.
Yes.
Which that is one of the reasons why I am drawn to you. So I know I can't really quantify with one particular value.
That word again, quantify. What the hell does that mean? Go ahead.
But what value has she brought to you in your life?
Oh man, she has brung a lot out of me. She loved me even when I had nothing. I was about nothing. And she loved me. She, man, the loyalty, the support. She is the epitome. One of the things that I've learned as a man is that anytime you hurt a woman, no matter what it is you do, whether you lie, you didn't got to go as far as cheating, but you can just lie, and if that trust is ever misplaced, bro, it is absolutely over. And it takes a special type. It takes a special woman to love you through that and still be in your life. That's what she showed me. She showed me that you can piss on me, but I piss harder, and I still love you. You know what I'm saying? And there's some things that we had to work through, and there's some things that we are still working through to this day.
Of course.
But that's why we have counseling and all that good stuff.
Hmm.
Um, but she's shown me that I could be the man that I want to be, or that I think that I can be. I just got to pull it out. And she has been. She reminds me. This is a crazy analogy, just go with me here. You ever go to Walmart and they have those the big old games where they got the hook
Hmm.
and you get to go out and grab stuffed animals?
Yeah.
She's the hook,
Hmm.
right? But I can control that hook if I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. If I'm maintaining a relationship, if I'm being a provider, being a lover, being whatever I need to be for her, she's the hook, and she'll go around and she'll just grab. Okay, Terry, this is where you struggle. Boom, get that. You want to be social media? You want to do a podcast? Here you go. Boom. You got to draw it out, and that's her. She's my plug, and that's the reason why I go so hard. And it hasn't always been peaches and cream with me and her. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I haven't always been that man for her.
Right.
But the fact that I woke up one morning and realized that she's not worth the loss. See,
I hear that.
yeah,
Yes.
once men realize that they're not worth the loss. The grass is not always greener over there.
Mm,
You know what I mean?
mm, mm,
And she was the one. I woke up and I said, "Yeah, it's not worth it. It's not worth it." And so I put all my eggs in. I put all my proverbial eggs in that one basket. It was like
mm,
that's my baby right there. You know.
mm.
So
That's awesome. That's
yeah,
awesome. Yeah. Shout out to you, Melissa. You do a wonderful job with Terry.
that's right. That's right.
All right. All right. I'll ask this question.
Mhm.
Melissa, she is not of your skin persuasion, is she?
Correct. No, she's not. Exactly.
All right. So, how is it to be in an interracial marriage?
Ooh, I knew that was coming. Wasn't ready for it. To me, it's no different than being in a marriage with a person of the same color. Now,
Mhm.
the only time an interracial marriage becomes an issue or even a question is like when you are in a place like Idaho, where
Mhm.
we used to get looks. I
Mhm.
remember one year, I think it was our first anniversary, and we went to uh, what did we? It was Olive Garden for our anniversary,
Mhm.
and this is in the middle of COVID. I mean, so they were just opening up,
Right. Right.
so they had uh, tables, uh, skipping tables till we,
Mhm.
and we're sitting there eating,
Mhm.
and there was this woman that was behind us, and she just kept staring. It's like I can't believe they're together. She's white, he's black. Oh, you know. She wanted to pull a Karen, but she wasn't sure how to do it. Doing enough video, doing enough videos. Yeah, so she catch the learn how to be a Karen. But she was a Karen before Karen was Karen. You know what I'm saying? But
Mhm.
interracial marriages to me, I mean, um, there are another time when it only brings up issues when it's issues of equality, like George Floyd, you know,
Right.
things like that, and we have conversations. The thing with Melissa is that she understands both sides, and because her father, um, great guy, Papa
Mhm.
Tim, great guy, but he didn't like men of my color persuasion,
Of course.
right?
Right.
But I feel like the only reason why he did not like men of my persuasion is because the ones that she dated did her dirty. And so as her father, he was protecting her. And so, well, you gonna be with black men, they gonna treat you like crap, da 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 da. So I had to earn my respect from him,
Of course.
you know. And I finally got it on our wedding day. I finally got it.
Mhm.
And he, great guy. But interracial marriage to me, I mean, people I, I talked to some folks that I used to run with that are so woke. They're like, "Oh, I can't date outside of my race. I gotta have me a sister. I gotta have me a queen." And that's great. That's your personal preference.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
It ain't mine. It ain't mine. I like that vanilla swirl in my coffee, baby. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it is for me.
Mm.
I love if I found love in a sister, that's who I would be with. But I
Mm.
found love in this woman who loved me back. It doesn't matter what color was she. She could have been green. Well, no, she could have been green. She could have been,
uh,
but she could do. You know what I'm saying, though.
Melissa, she's not referring to you as Shrek, so don't worry about that.
Fiona. Yeah, I was
Um,
reckon she's Fiona. That's what's up.
Fiona. Okay, fine. All right. We talked about her earlier. I
Mm.
think it's a wonderful time to talk about her now. How important is, and I do stress is on purpose, your mother?
My mother. Um, she was she was a great woman. She was. Um, and she just like she wasn't any different from anybody else, who had a past, who had things they weren't proud of, you know, that she went through.
Right.
I think toward the end of her life, once this came out about uh, my dad or my non-bio dad, there was a level of shame that she walked through
Right.
because she didn't have any answers,
Yeah.
for me. She gave me a couple of guesses, but not being the answer. So there's a level of shame she walked through. But my toughness, I ain't gonna take that from you. That's from my mom. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I can't. I get everything from my mom because I don't know who my dad is. I don't know what I got from him. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I just know that uh, my mother was the end all for me,
Right.
and it was hard for me to um, watch her go. But I know that uh, she is in a better place. I know she's not hurting anymore. But
Right.
I'm the man I am because of her.
Yeah.
You know, people say if you look at a picture of my mom and look at me, that's twinsies. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
That's my honey. She will forever be my girl. And I miss her like tremendous. There are days
Yeah.
during the year where I am no good. Like her birthday,
Right.
I ain't worth a crap. Don't call me. I ain't doing no videos. I ain't doing nothing. Because I still mourn her
Yeah.
passing. And
Yeah.
she's been gone 15 years.
Hmm.
It doesn't seem like it's been that long,
Yeah.
but I still mourn. I still mourn on her birthday and her death day.
Well, I'm still blessed to have both my parents
Yeah.
alive, but the one thing I've learned in having others who have had their parents die
Mhm.
is that that is something that you cannot tell a person to get over, and
Yeah.
you cannot tell a
You
person to
really
get past.
right.
You just have to hope that they can get through.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I was telling I just told I did an episode the other day called "Why Is Death So Final" on my so
Mhm.
if you want to go check that out, you can.
Yeah.
Um, and I told a story about when my mom passed away the week before she passed away. My mother had sarcoidosis and she needed a double lung transplant. She had lupus. She had a lot of things happening
Mhm.
at the end of her life.
Right.
And so the last time she was hospitalized, she got sick and things would seem to be getting better. And
Okay.
then she got bad. And
Oh,
then my brother called me and he says, "Hey, you need to go see mom. You need to come down here and see mom because I was living about 2 hours away, and you need to come and see mom. And she's not doing well." It's okay. So when I got that call, that was on a Wednesday. That Sunday, she was
oh,
up. She had woke up and she was praising God and reading the Bible because my mom was a preacher. You might know
yeah.
that.
Right. Right.
And so she was up praising God and reading the Bible and this and that. That was on Sunday, right? The following Tuesday, I finally get down there and she's on the ventilator. And they was like, and my mom never regained consciousness, of course. But
Right.
that Tuesday, I got down there. My dad, my auntie, my grandma, all of them, they're in the room with her, and they just, oh, my mama's name was Patricia. So they kept, come on, Pat, I need for you to come through. And da-da-da-da. I threw everybody out of the room. I said, get out, everybody, right now. And and I'm not going to get choked up here, but I threw everybody out the room, and I put up a chair beside her bed. And I took her by the hand, and I didn't know whether she heard me. I don't know, right? Some folks say she did hear me. But I took her by the hand, and I got to her ear, and I said, "Mama, I love you. I miss you. I'm sorry." Because sometimes you don't get that. You don't get to say, "I'm sorry," you know.
Yeah.
And I say, "Mama, I'm sorry. I wasn't the son that I should have been. I should have been better. I should have done this. I should have done a lot of things. And I want you back. But if you're tired, go.
Mm. Mm.
And I remember looking over to her, and one tear rolled down the side of her face.
Mm.
And I let her hand go, and I called everybody else back in, and it was fine. But she passed away the next morning. My brother called me at 4 in the morning, and she passed away. And I've had people tell me she wouldn't die, she wouldn't pass away until you were there.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, make it more emotional than
Mhm.
But she was just such a bright light. She set the mood anytime she walked into the door. Sick or not, our oxygen tank, oh no, our oxygen or not, she shut the party down when she come in there.
Mm.
And I miss her. I do. There are days where I try not to think about how much I miss her, because I think about her every day. But there days it's just hard. Yeah, she was great. I miss her. A little
Yeah.
cackling sound. Maybe say it. Yeah, I miss her.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, I think in just in knowing you the few years that I have, I believe she would look at you now and she would be proud of you, how you are.
My mama cussed me out. And she take me nice. My mom was like, "What you
Oh,
doing?"
let's get this straight. Black mama, she will
Oh,
probably
she
lay
will
a
get
couple
that.
curse words into you, shoot too. But
Yeah, she was great. She would have
yeah,
been proud.
she been proud of you, man. I mean, because you dealt with a lot. You've grown as a man.
For sure.
You've grown as a man with just in dealing with her.
Yeah.
Just in that lane alone, you
Yeah.
grew as a man with her.
Yeah.
Dealing with the relationship issues you've had, dealing with your daughters that you had as a teenager,
Yeah.
and licking your wounds of your ex, and then there is your special needs son.
Mm. Yeah.
How has he made you a better man?
He's taught me how to love correctly.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. He's taught me how to love correctly, because everybody's definition of love is always superficial and what they
Mhm.
can do for you or what you can do for them, But loving someone who can't tell you they love you back, that's different. My son is pre-verbal. I believe in my Holy Spirit that he's going to talk one day, and when he does, he's going to talk the ear off of everybody he touches. You know what I'm saying? But autism is something that you have to learn. It is an everyday thing. It's not something you're going to pick it all up at one time and read a book. And it's just not.
Yeah.
And he has taught me how to communicate non-verbally. He has taught me that just because I'm not normal in the sense, I'm still normal in the sense. You know what I'm saying?
Most
And
definitely.
that is, he's taught me so much. He walks around here. He has grown so much since we've been here. He smiles a lot. He laughs and giggles. He laughs and giggles all day. Um, there's only one person that he'll wave to, and that's E Digger. If he sees, and he'll tell you. He will tell you. If me and E are on a FaceTime call or some kind of a Zoom or anything like that, and he see E, he's gonna automatically. I ain't got to tell him to. No, he go throw the hand up and wave.
That is
Um,
awesome.
but
Oh, man.
he's taught me how to love. He's taught my wife and I to work as a team, because when we go out as a family, we have to team support him, because he sometimes with his autism he misses certain social cues. Like he can't, he's not gonna sit down in one spot, for a long time. And we have to work as a team. So that particular aspect of what the autism is that it teaches or build it. I can't talk. It's building, team building. We have to learn how to be a team. And so communication, team building, communication. Yeah, it's one of the biggest things. Three of the biggest things, brother.
See, this is why you need to learn big words, Terry.
Yeah. Shut all the way up, bro. Wait. Here you go, Cole. Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you like this: if you don't shut your ass up, I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you.
So that's how I feel about that, Cole. That's how I feel about that.
Oh my gosh. But that is a wonderful way of looking at it, man. Having someone teach you how to love correctly. Wow, that is a wisdom bomb if I ever heard of it.
Yeah.
Man. Man. Well, what you just heard just now is humor. And
Yeah.
I obviously you'd see that Terry is all day about it.
All
So
day. Yeah.
What does the gift of humor do for you?
Oh man, the gift of humor for me is kind of it's been my saving grace
Mhm.
over my life. I used to use humor for evil, right? Me and
Mhm.
one of my best friends used to run out to the club every weekend, and I was his wingman. And so he see a chick he like her, he'll get the friend. I make the friend laugh. We going home with him. You know, we used it for evil. But humor for me is my saving grace. It calms me down when I'm upset. Because if I can crack a joke in the middle of a storm, I'm good. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? Um, I've seen my humor bring the smiles and laughs to the faces of people who just broke. You know,
Mhm.
um, and sometimes that's why people go to stand. That's why people go to comedy shows because they
Right.
struggle. And sometimes some people struggle, and they need that step outside of reality for a sec, and and uh, and uh, and listen to a couple of jokes. And I'm gonna tell you, there's this one kid back home named Christian Johnson. If you want to reach out to him, he's busy. He's on tour though. But
Christian Johnson. Okay.
yeah, and Christian was a clown. He was a
Mhm.
clown. He was like to have fun. You know,
Mhm.
with the same church. And Christian is now a stand up comedian full time. That's what he does. He quit his job and does full time comedian work. I want to do that, but what I realized that I'm not stand up funny. I'm witty, haha, funny. There's a difference. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Standing up in front of the
Mhm.
crowd with a mic is just it's two different
Okay.
things.
It's a different discipline altogether. Yeah.
Yeah, but being able to make someone laugh in the midst of pain is one of my greatest attributes. I love that. I love doing that because I know what that pain feels like.
Mhm.
You know, and I can crack a joke. I've been through a lot, and people's like, I haven't been through everything in life, but I've been through enough to where I can touch somebody somewhere. With
Right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I've always said that I thank Robin Harris, the late great Robin Harris,
Yeah,
with my getting past and through my first ever relationship.
yeah,
Because uh, I had difficulty in how it ended,
mhm,
and of course, when you're young, you really don't know how to deal with heartbreak
right.
in a mature fashion.
Mhm.
And you sometimes think your world is ended. So
Right.
I popped in a tape of Bebe's Kids.
That's it. Stories to live by.
Never,
Okay.
that has now been 30 years since, maybe for the lone exception of when I saw Bernie Mac in the Kings of Comedy. I have
Oh
never
yeah.
laughed so
So hard.
hard in my
Yeah.
entire life.
Bernie Mac was that dude.
And Bernie Mac was that dude too.
Yeah. He
But
was teasing me. Okay.
oh yeah, I could derail this whole thing just by that. So you surprised me, sir. You actually, I've known you now a few years. You absolutely surprised me. I'm sorry. Let me use another word. You flummoxed me.
I hope this is a video so people can see my face.
You when in reaching out in correspondence to have you come on the show,
Mm.
you gave me an email address that said man of God.
Man of God. Yes.
Yeah. And I was almost disappointed with you because I'm like, dog, he should have put the T at the end of that. Be the man of God.
Man, I've had that email for years, and I'm gonna tell you where it stemmed from.
Okay.
The origin of Man of God
Mhm.
was when John Gray first hit the scene back in 2002. I know. I just kept it. And so that was his website,
Right.
manofgod.com. That was his
Mhm.
website. And so I it stuck. That's been since 02,
Yeah.
and it stuck.
Yeah.
And
I just wasn't expecting that. I'm
yeah,
like,
that's where
oh.
it came from. So people ask me, nobody has ever asked me where Man of God came from.
Mhm.
And I just put the 34 on the end because at the time I did it, I put 30. I was 34,
Okay.
so I just Man of God 34. It's been
Yeah.
that ever since.
I just thought it was cool. I was like, oh, all right. I was like, man, but this isn't Terry because he would have put to me. I thought he would put the T behind it, be
No,
like,
Lord,
M,
no,
it,
no,
like man of God, because that would be full of you. But I'm like,
yeah, no.
nah. So he wanted to be
It's been
he
around for
wanted to be a little more dignified. So
a while.
okay, gotcha.
It's been around for a minute. Oh,
All
two.
right, all right. So how would you describe your walk with Christ, sir?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be honest with you
Mhm.
in this moment.
Okay,
My walk with Christ is still there.
perfect.
Um, I'm still a believer.
Mhm.
But there were times where I've struggled with it.
Okay.
Um, I haven't been. I haven't been to worship. I haven't been to any kind of praise worship since 6 months, 8 months,
Mhm. Mhm.
and there's circumstances behind it, and the reason why I haven't been that doesn't have anything to do with Christ, but I don't know. I'm not. I'm not where I need to be. I need to get back in it.
Okay.
Get back into my relationship. So
Mhm.
there's a difference between relationship
Right.
and church. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Because part of me, if I could be honest, part
Mhm.
of me is still angry with God a little bit, with my son,
Mm.
even though God doesn't make any mistakes. But I was so angry. I was like, God, why'd you? My only son, my only bio son. I have Javante, but he's not mine biologically. But my only bio son, you did this. So part of me hasn't really processed everything, and so I'm still, I still love God. Don't get me wrong. I still love him. I still believe that he's going to do exceedingly and abundantly. I believe that.
Right.
But part of me is still, I was like, God, come on, man. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? And I said, I just want to hear my son say, "I love you, Daddy." That's it. If I don't hear him say anything else, I want him to say that. You know, what I'm saying, God, please. You know, and sometimes we as people, we want God to do stuff for us, and we ain't nowhere near where we need to be. But you want something. It's just like a kid who got their hand out all the time, but as soon as you tell them to go wash dishes, or as soon as you go tell them to pick up their room or whatever, they give you the stank mouth. That's us as adults. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I feel guilty. I feel ashamed because I'm even entertaining that particular thought. But it is what it is for me. That's kind of the truth.
Yeah.
Um, but I get better with it day by day by day by day. The height of it when Terry Jr. was 18 months
Mhm.
and we first got his diagnosis. That's when it was at its highest because I was like, I know this isn't happening, you know. But over the years, I've kind of calmed down and you know living in my truth.
Yeah. Mm. Well, to be completely forthright, man, the journey doesn't look the same for you as it does for anyone else.
Mhm.
That's the beauty. That's the beauty, and probably even the see dealing with someone who calls you on using elaborate words. You have to come up with words that he can understand.
Oh,
And sometimes something that is not to your good, or at least what you feel is not to your good.
yeah.
And That's what makes the walk with Christ unique. You know,
Yeah.
it's never ending. It's
Right.
always evolving. And
Always.
and the beauty about it is, and you mentioned the key word, relationship,
Mhm.
because Jesus is always there.
Yep.
No matter how far we roam or how far we want to stray off the path, he's always there.
Mhm.
It's just a matter of us saying, Jesus, I need you.
Yeah.
Lord, I need you.
Sometimes it's just like that. It's just like
Yeah.
that. That's why
Mhm.
I'm so thankful he's not complicated.
Yeah.
I'm so thankful that he's not like, man, I'm so thankful I can just go to him. Even in my days that I doubt,
Mhm.
I can go and I say, God, this, forgive my unbelief.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what it is.
And it's so interesting that Jesus already knows we're going to have unbelief in our lives
Mhm.
and has scriptures that deals with that. I'm like, dang, you taught parables talking about unbelief, Jesus. Goodness gracious. Okay,
Yeah.
so you knew this was going to happen with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's why I never judge anybody's walk. If
Mm.
it's
Can't.
ongoing and it's active,
Right.
no matter if you're one of those saved, sanctified, filled with the Holy Ghost type of Christian where you
Yeah.
go to church every day,
Right.
forget every Sunday, every day,
Every day. Yeah.
and every single word that comes out of your mouth is biblical,
Mhm.
or one who hasn't been in church for a minute,
Right.
it's still about, if you connect with Jesus, if you connect with God, it's still, no matter what, it's about that connection.
It's all about that.
Yeah. And if you
Absolutely.
choose not to connect, then you have a problem. But if you still choose to connect, then people can try to shame you at, well, all right,
Mhm.
Terry, well, you ain't going to church. Heck, I'm going to church every Sunday, my doggone self.
Yeah.
But
Look.
but no one can shame you. No one can shame me about it,
Right.
because guaranteed, I get the word in every single day.
Right. Gotta get that.
I get the word in every single day. So that's not an issue. So anybody doing that, that's a non-starter. But I totally get why you would say that.
Yeah. The struggle's real. Life is a trip. We had
Yeah.
some issues with my wife's oldest son. That's why church was tricky because of his behaviors. We really couldn't go because he had to go at a certain time. It was just a lot going on at the time. But listen, this is something that fell on my spirit while you was talking, and
Yeah.
I know we're getting ready. I know we're running on time here, but
Go
I
ahead.
want
Go
to
ahead. Go
say
ahead.
this. There's one word that just dropped in my spirit. This was somebody, I don't know who. I'm gonna say this. Male, female, white, black, green, blue, indifferent. It doesn't matter. It's one word that's dropped in my spirit, and that's process.
Thank you. Thank you.
We have to learn how to process everything that we go through. One moment at a time, process it. If you have issues that you don't know how to get through it, process. Because anything outside of the process is uncivilized. It's kind of like Charles Barkley with the right guard stick, remember? Anything
Less
less is
uncivilized.
uncivilized. Process. And it took me a long time to learn that word process and how to, before I make a decision about anything, I have to process it. When I get ready to make a move or go on vacation or whatever, I got to process it. If I'm struggling with my son right now is at that stage to where he bites, and only because when if he's upset, somebody picks him up, he'll bite. I got to learn how to process that because he has to go into public. That's a social cue. Because people will look at him like, oh, he's a biter. Oh no, stay over there. It's hard to keep respite providers. It's hard to keep babysitters because he bites. I got to process that. So somebody out there who's listening, process your emotion, process situations, process, process, process. I'm doing an ancestry DNA thing right now. Right, wait for my results to come back. Scared to death. I don't know what I'm going to do. You know what I'm saying? When that result, the results come back, I don't know what I'm going to do. But when I do get those results, guess what I'm going to have to do? I'm going to have to process
That's what you've learned.
whatever I get. You know what I mean? So process, that's the word. Process.
Wow. Wonderful way to end Behind the Purpose, because that is a word for sure. Wow. podcaster and radio executive. I like saying that. Terry Little just basically wrecked shop in the last segment of Revelations, and he's opened the way. He's walked across that bridge. He definitely has given you the reason why he is the way he is. Now it's time to bring all of that to light. Now, all of us shine in a unique way, and Terry is not any exception. So, when did you know the podcasting and basically vlogging was for you?
Now, this is for the folks that's been following me for a while. I used to do a show called The Common Sense Show TV. And I used to do that bad boy. This is when we first moved to Idaho. No, it was back in 17.
Mhm.
And I used to do it in my basement. And I had a tripod and I had an iPad and I had my phone. So I was this is when Periscope was a big thing. Right. So I would do a broadcast on Facebook. That's when Facebook first introduced Facebook Live.
Mhm.
So I would broadcast on Facebook Live and I would broadcast on Periscope. And my Common Sense Show TV would just bring folks. And it was just a show where I would just stand in front of the camera and I would just give advice. Just kind of like what I was doing a while ago. I would just give advice and people would just come in by the droves,
Mhm.
And I said, okay, this is what I need to do then, and I got with AD Walker.
Mhm.
And AD was like, hey man, you should do a podcast. Yeah, I'm like, whatever. And that's when I joined the Brothers of Legacy.
Right.
And then I started doing, my own podcast on my own. So it's been through several name changes and it's been through a couple of ups and downs and starts and stops, but it's back. I try to keep it as current as I possibly can. Like I said, I did the episode the other day. I don't do them weekly. I should get back on the schedule and just do them Monday, Wednesday, and Friday like I used to do.
Mhm.
A long time ago. But that is when it hit, when people started inboxing me. And I had people that were inboxing me and saying, yo, what you just said, that changed my life. I was sick and I would listen to you when I was going through. And I'm like, what? Ooh, okay, that's me, right? And then when I do a podcast on car buying, buying a car, that's my thing. That's why I do 9 to 5. I said that
Right.
at the intro.
Mhm.
People, I had a friend of mine that had bought his first Tesla. Listening to what listening to the advice that I gave him, and he got it for a steal, and not, But when I first get those inboxes and people were just like, I'm just so thankful that you were able to instill, and a lot of people. One of my biggest fans that would always comment and inbox and stuff like that. She passed away here about 3 months ago, and that hurt me. That broke my heart. I'll tell you. But she was just, you keep going. Don't you? You better not stop. You better not ever stop. There's somebody, And I remember her telling me one day in a FaceTime chat we had, and she says, you aren't for everybody, but there is a remnant of people just for you that's not going to listen to anybody else's voice but you. So you have to get out there and you have to keep giving, using your voice until you find them. Yeah.
Wow. Well, yeah, you have a voice, sir. There's no question about that. No debating that. Now, I met you doing another venture that, of course, that will not be mentioned. But while I met you doing this venture, you were doing Brothers of Legacy, as you just mentioned, and you were doing another podcast / videocast with the aforementioned Anthony Walker, aka AD.
Yeah.
Shout out, brother.
So that,
And it was called Brothers Who Talk. And here's the funny thing about that. So, in doing research for you, I came across an episode entitled Making Decisions Out of Emotions.
How about that? Yeah.
Yeah. So, how would you describe your time doing both shows?
Oh man, tiring. I gotta tell you because the Brothers of Legacy, we went every day. It
Yes.
was we had the early morning show,
Mm-hmm.
and we'd go for an hour, hour and a half, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we would do Brothers Who Talk, and it was just tiring. I sucked at editing, so 80 took over that job, so it became a little bit easier.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a great time because I had to use my brain. You
Mm-hmm.
know, a lot of times when they say the an idle mind that was playground, that's true. So if you're not doing something productive, you can kind of venture off into something else that you ain't no business venturing off to. But doing the Brothers Who Talk and doing the Brothers of Legacy kept me sharp. Had to, because if I could not use my brain productively in the Brothers of Legacy, guess what? It'd be four of us sitting there. Well, actually, three of them talking. I'm sitting looking crazy. You know what I'm saying? Because in order for you to be productive in the show, you got to, you know. So it kept my brain going. Tiring, yes. For worth it, yes. Will I do it again? Yes. I missed the Brothers of Legacy. I actually did a guest spot here a couple months now. I did a guest spot. They called 80 hit me up and was like, "Yo, can you come and do a show?" I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." You
Mm-hmm.
know, but yes, that's my dude. I miss my dude. I ain't talked to him in a while. I miss him.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, being a part of that show too,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, I had to no longer be a part of it, not because of them, but
Mhm.
because I had to help out a brother. We talked about it
Yeah.
in the green room portion of this show.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so
Oh,
uh,
Brian Snow. Shout out.
yeah, shout out to my man Brian Snow.
Yeah.
Love that brother. I love Brothers Legacy, and I also love Brothers Who Talk because it was like a spin off of Brothers of Legacy
Right.
where it
It
was
was, yeah. I think that was the intention.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was like, okay, it is. I see elements of Brothers of Legacy, but it's a little different. It's like
Yeah.
it's a little more humorous.
Yeah.
It's a little more. It's a little more raw and a little less spiritually
Yeah.
led.
Yeah. 'Cause we cut the crazy on Brothers Who Talk now.
Yeah, hmm
Yeah, it depends on who we had on the show.
and
Yeah,
yeah,
if we had a serious guest, then we'd be serious. You know what I'm saying? But
hmm
I
yeah,
remember one time we had Felix Anderson on the show. I don't know if you know who he is, Mr. Felix Anderson. Uh, and we cut the crazy. And as
hmm
spiritual as Felix is,
hmm
we didn't talking about hip hop. We talking about old school. We had a good time on that show. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But Brother Talkers was definitely a more laid back type
hmm
of vibe.
yeah,
But I miss Pastor Brian. I miss Pastor Brian and them. I know he had an uncle who passed away a little while ago.
yeah.
And praying for him.
Yeah, well, man, the crew of Brothers of Legacy, love them still to this day.
Yeah.
AD, Pastor,
Yeah. Yeah.
Kaneem, all I mean, all of them, and of course, Sam and Lisa, and I mean, I love the whole crew there.
Yeah.
Great crew. Would love to return when I'm able to do so, but
Yeah.
Lord led me in a different direction. I
Right.
was like, okay,
Sometimes like that.
go here. So you talked about some other vehicle. Well, you just recently talked about a vehicle that no longer exists, the Cameraman TV show. You talked about brunching.
Yeah.
There's also another vehicle. You can't make this up. Uh,
Okay. Yeah, I got you.
uh,
Yeah.
what lessons did you don't have to go into detail as to why these shows no longer exist, but
Mm.
what lessons did you learn from doing those particular vehicles?
What I learned from that one, again, that was something that came about because I moved on emotion. I was
Really?
I had a radio show that I
Mhm.
did on WLEO called Real Talk with the Guru, and I had her on as a guest. It's,
Okay.
Tiffany, Double D Mo.
Mhm.
She's a huge TikToker. She's with what's the name of that the Turks, the Young Turks or whatever, that news segment, the Black Red News on Facebook. She's big. But I moved on emotion, and I asked her, I said, we should do a show together. Da da da. She said, yeah, da da da. And what I've learned was stop doing that. I did it one more time, moved on emotion. Stop doing that. I've learned how now when I put a show together, I know how to prepare for a show. Even though I didn't accept her criticism at the time,
Okay.
But now it's like, oh yeah, in order to have a good show, you got to put this together, this. And you sound like an idiot if you don't have this stuff together. You know,
Mhm.
I've learned how to process people and learn how to trust people, um, or put yourself in position to be able to trust them. You know what I'm saying? Because it's work. You just can't trust people off the rip. You just can't trust them off the rip. You say you gotta kind of put yourself in. This is what you do. If they do X, Y, Z, they're on the way to proving to you that you can trust them. You know that time. Take that time out to do that. I didn't do that, and it was just fly by night, rush right through it. You know, and the show was a great show. She had a huge following. I did the show. It was it's almost selfish like because I asked her to do the show, knowing she had a huge following, knowing that I could ride her coattails, and to get this following. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's very selfish. I learned how not to be selfish.
Mm-hmm.
Not being selfish. You're doing stuff. You had ulterior motives. This is the reason why this happened the way it did.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Because she got 300,000 subscribers on TikTok, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, she's got 200K on Facebook. I mean, she's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but selfishly, I asked her to be a part of the show, not because, I mean, she has a great political commentary. So if anybody if you want a political commentary, boom, you go to the Black Red News on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
But stop being selfish. I was very, very selfish, and that's, even though at the end of it I blamed her, but it was all me.
Again, growth. Growth.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That's impressive that you came to that conclusion.
Yeah.
Because you or I still could be stuck in this relationship ended because of that person.
Yeah.
And not look at the mirror and say, okay,
That
what
was
was your part in this?
That was me being completely selfish.
Mm-hmm.
And she was actually she guest hosted a couple weeks ago on my show.
Mm-hmm.
She came back and guest hosted. She was nervous about it because a lot of people said some really mean things to her. E-Digger, really mean things to her. He did the whole show. He did it, and I appreciate him for having my back. I really do. But she was like, well, people had something to say, and after everything went south with us, she was like, no, you think it's good for me to be on your show? I said, girl, bye. You still Tiffany Jones. Don't do that. You know what I mean? So, and we had a good time. Did a great show.
Good. I'm glad the fences were mended. That's good to know.
Yeah,
that's real good to know.
Reach out to her. She'll jump on. Tell her.
Okay, I feel you. Okay,
yeah.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. All right, so the Vigo that I had come to know you best as, the Knucklehead Chronicles podcast.
Yeah.
All right. Why did you create it? What purpose do you want to serve with it? And what directions did you first want to have with it, and how did that direction change?
Again, you need loaded questions today, boy. I tell you. All right. Knucklehead Chronicles came about. My best friend name was Kenya McNeil. Well, Kenya's still my best friend. When I went through my separation back in 2013, I went to go live with a best friend of mine, and I went through all kinds of stuff. And she said, she called me up and said, "You're such a knucklehead. You just do some stupid stuff. You should write a book." And that's where it came about. Knucklehead Chronicles was a book I did from my best friend Kenya. And I hate writing. And so I said I was going to do it in video. When I do it in video, I did it in audio. when I first told my story, I did it in audio. And it was a 10-part series, and people loved it. And that's where it came from.
Nice.
That's where it came from. And my goal, where I want to, is for people to not be knuckleheads. You know, that's the whole point. I want guys and girls to understand that just because, and if you listen to the intro of my podcast, it says, just because you were dealt a bad hand doesn't mean you got to keep it. You know what I'm saying? I want people to understand that you don't, just because you were dealt this happened to you, mother, father issues, whatever that the hand was dealt, you do not have to keep it. Consider it like a hand of poker. If you're playing 7-card draw, guess what? If you got 3 cards that suck, throw them back and get some more. That's what life is. And that is that's my goal, is to help people through, because some people that are going through believe that they're the only person going through that said situation. When they're going through it, you know what I'm saying? And you're not. You know what I mean? There's thousands of other people that are going through the same thing you are. But people love the story of a comeback. People love empowerment. If I tell you I've been through cheating and death and divorce and all that, and then here I am, here living in a $300,000 house with 2 cars in the yard with a beautiful wife and a family. After going through all that, you want to hear that story, because if you can do it, I can do it too. That's the whole point.
Yeah. Redemption story.
Yep.
Probably the greatest story that you could ever tell.
Yep.
And I say that in all earnest, emotion with it.
Yeah.
Because for some reason I had the parable of the prodigal son come to my head.
Yeah.
And yeah, we could get focused on the subject of the son, ask for his inheritance early, wasting it all, and being embraced by his father when he returned home.
Right.
But you also have to look at the father too and be like, wow, that's the heart of that's a real big heart of the father, because he could have been trapped in his emotions and feelings and saying, oh, man, son is acting ridiculous and he's acting immature.
Right.
But he was just happy his son returned home.
That's it. That's all that matters.
And it's so beautiful that even in that parable, you could see yourself in both the son that's wayward and the father accepting the son in return.
Right.
And we are suckers for, and I mean all of us, we are suckers for good stories, or stories that have good endings to it.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you can tell a story about yourself where, I mean, I've been divorced myself,
Yeah.
and I'm divorced, lick those wounds. Forgiven my ex. Now I'm remarried and I have a wonderful existence with my wife now, and
Mhm.
and my own life independent of my wife is the best it's ever been in my entire life. Yeah, I mean,
Exactly.
who else wouldn't want to hear that?
Everybody wants to hear that.
Right.
Because somebody feel like I've been divorced twice. I can't find nobody to love me.
Right.
Here's a story. My wife she's on this a child disorder page on Facebook, and somebody posted in there, who in here has found a significant other after having a child diagnosed with child disorder? And my wife comes in there, she says, my husband is amazing. And it goes to this whole half a page thing about me. And I'm like, I love you. But you had to do all that, but you gotta keep pushing. You just gotta keep pushing, man, through all of it at the end of the day.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. So you've had many co-hosts
Yeah.
on a Knucklehead Chronicles.
Yeah.
How is the flavor of doing a panel show?
A panel show is all about chemistry, and you got to have the chemistry. If you don't have chemistry, you ain't got nothing. You got to. It's like The View.
Mhm.
You got 4 hands up there cackling. And that's the same thing with men. You got 4 men up there cackling. I've been through not a few. I mean, not a lot of hosts, but I've had E. Digger, Kevin Peoples, and E. Digger and Kevin Peoples have been there from the jump. Shout out to my boy.
Shout out to K Peeps too. Yeah, definitely.
Queen came in a little later. You know what I'm saying? I had Ephraim. I had E on the show. But I think we did the show on a day that he just couldn't do it a lot of the times. I did all my shows on Sunday. So he just couldn't do it because of work. I had Dwayne Goodson. Shout out to Dwayne. I don't even know if he's on social media anymore, but
yeah,
I had him on the show. So I haven't gone through a lot, but it's about vibes and it's about chemistry, and you got to have it. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you have to make a deciding. Like have you been on the show with E. Digger? So you gotta have a certain chemistry with E. Digger that you can. It makes it a good show. I
Yeah.
mean, E Digger been flowing for the men, so me
Right.
and E gonna have that chemistry because we worked together before.
Right.
And K People, he flow because he just KP.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. He just
Quinn,
seamlessly flows. Yeah.
yeah, Quinn flows. It just you know, it just works out. You know,
Yeah.
but at some point, I might have to take it down to just a dual show. You know,
Oh,
uh,
you and E Digger then.
I don't know because E Digger has his own show.
Well, of course. Yeah. Well, they
Because
do this on so many platforms. Yeah.
yeah, because we're on Roku TV with BS3 Network, so
Right.
he has his own show. I mean, we haven't talked about it. He wants to bring WLEO back online at some point.
Of course.
I'm trying to think of. I'm thinking me and KP. I know you guys own thing, and I know me and KP people's. We I don't know. Everything's up in the air. It's kind of with the plan,
Gotcha.
but you know.
Gotcha. Yeah, I totally understand that. I totally understand that.
Yeah.
And speaking of the E Digger, and yes, sir, if you're watching this, I do want you on Revelations because I really believe
Oh yeah. That
you
is
would
so too.
you would rock this platform as a guest, sir.
Yeah.
I have a huge amount of respect for him. You are a co-executive producer of said radio station WLEO with him. So, what made you want to go into that arena with him?
Oh man, I probably want to do radio.
Mhm.
I probably want to do radio. And when he first launched WLEO, we both went into it. You know, I think I went in half on the licensing in order for us to play music on the thing.
Right.
And you know, me and E been rocking for a long time. You know what I'm saying? Anything E do, I'm whatever he on, I'm on. That's kind of what that is.
Right.
And I've always wanted to be in the radio. And I remember doing my first radio show on WLEO. Man, that was the bomb. Oh man, the feeling. I mean, just that having a little stage breaks and playing the music and coming back and kind of like what you're doing on video, but just audio only. It was great. I loved it. You know, I did my show. I think I did my show on Tuesday nights. I loved it. I had different topics and I loved it. It's no different than podcasting. It's just radio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I could definitely tell you this, man. You were born for radio. Now, I would love to decline you and say, yeah, you have a face only for it, but I'm not going to go there.
No, I don't have no. And I'm okay with that. You know, I can do my voice. I remember one of my best friends, V Bennett, used to come in and listen to Brothers of Legacy all the time.
Shout
and
out
she listened to the podcast. She say, I only come to hear your voice.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, okay. Thank you.
And yeah,
I ain't Brad White or nothing, but thank you.
And I totally understand it. I mean, yeah, you your resonance is absolutely wonderful. Two, when you speak, you basically want to just stop and listen to every single syllable that you say.
Yeah.
And three, you seem to have a lot to say.
I do.
And
I do.
and in the midst of the lot that you have to say, you will catch a nugget.
Yeah.
Whether it's the one you intended or the one that was not intended.
Right.
But you, yeah, I could see you eventually having a radio show, a nationally syndicated radio show. I could see you do that. I could see you doing that.
It. Oh my God, that would drive me. I would quit my job.
Yeah,
I really would.
I would see you do that, man. And because of that, man, the light that you were shining upon others, ooh, yeah, it's going to be bright for many years to come. And I'm looking forward to how your light shines brighter.
I appreciate that, brother. That means a lot. That means a lot for real.
Radio executive, podcaster, video blogger, or video producer too, and the host and producer of Knucklehead Chronicles podcast, Terry Little. Join me in Revelations. I'm sorry, you were saying something, sir?
No, I was saying that's why you're my dude.
That's
why you're my dude. Yeah.
That's why you're mine too, brother. This is now the time of the show where in the ode and in the honor of De La Soul, we're going to go plug tuning.
Plug tuning. Okay. I
That's
like
right.
it.
Plug tuning. And this is, of course, when we have the guest on the show
Yeah.
plug whatever it is on
Ah.
his or her heart's desire. Doesn't matter what
Okay.
it is. It doesn't matter how long it is.
Right.
They have the opportunity to plug whatever they want. So, sir,
Oh,
the floor is yours. Whatever you want to plug, go for it.
I appreciate that, man. I thought I thought we were gonna listen to some music for a minute. I didn't know what was going on. All right, so you say okay, you guys can catch me Sundays, 2:30 p.m. Central Standard Time on the BS3 TV network. And we're on Facebook, we're on Roku, of course. So if you have a Roku TV at home, you can check out the BS3 network. You catch the Knucklehead Chronicles at 2:30 every single Sunday. Check out my man E Digger WLEO. We're coming back online here pretty soon. E Digger has what's on E Digger's mind on BS3 TV network. Let's see who else. Oh, my personal podcast. You can check that out on all podcasting platforms because that platform is audio only. So if you're Apple, definitely check out the podcasting app, Google, wherever you get your podcast from. Don't check out Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. I think the name of the title right now, but I know it's Snowman.
Mhm.
It's Snowman and Cole. Was it Cole and Snowman? What is it?
Yeah, Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson.
Smart that. Follow that every morning on
Thank
all
you.
your platforms and such. They're a great team. I've probably listened to a couple of shows. You guys are a great team.
Thank you.
But yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, well, thank you for giving me flowers when it was time for you to plug your own stuff. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But that is Terry for you.
Yeah,
Podcaster, car salesman. We talked a little bit about
Yes.
that.
We didn't get into it, but that's it. That's my joint. That's my stuff.
Co-executive producer of WLEO and the host producer of the Knucklehead Chronicles podcast. Very, very easy to say, isn't it? Terry Little. Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
sir. Thank
you
you,
for
sir.
having me. I appreciate you.
Oh man. Many thanks to Terry Little for giving us his perspective on life. Hopefully that picture that I just grabbed didn't have a booger. And why don't you join us every Tuesday on YouTube where you can see a different person such as Terry being interviewed by me each and every week. For changing the world one conversation at a time, I'm Cole Johnson, and this has been Revelations. Thank you for tuning into Revelations. To download this episode, go to Acast and type Revelations. For apparel, go to Spring and type Revelations. Music by Lakey Inspired.